Hey everybody, welcome to the Song Revolution podcast, brought to you by Nashville Christian Songwriters. Nashville Christian Songwriters exists to empower Christian songwriters worldwide. I'm John Chisholm, and this podcast exists to bring you valuable songwriting insights, inspiration, interviews, and just all around good fun with some of the greatest songwriters, producers, arrangers, artists, and creatives, and beyond. You can find out a whole lot more about us at NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com.
Any other now, I spit it out, but I really don't know what I'm talking about. Do you know what I'm talking about? I heard about a love that's patient, it's kind and never anxious, it keeps its word even when it hurts. Have you heard? It comes down like a waterfall, hits you like a cannonball, stops you in your tracks like a prodigal. God's love, it's a different kind of love, and it's crashing like...
Hey guys, John Chisholm here with you again, and you're listening to a great new song from former American Idol contestant Dave Pittman called Different Kind of Love. It's the title cut from his brand new album. Dave is a Liberty University grad, and you might remember when he was on American Idol Season 9, and that was a show where celebrity judge Neil Patrick Harris called him crazy brave after hearing Dave's story of being bullied as a child. You know, bullying is a devastating thing to any kid, but especially for Dave because he suffers from Tourette Syndrome, which you know causes involuntary repetitive movements and sounds. Dave shares the story in this episode of how the bullying got so bad that he even attempted suicide at only 10 years old. Neil Patrick Harris' description of Dave as crazy brave inspired his 2011 debut album by that name. Now he's coming back strong with a different kind of love to continue his music career and to keep encouraging people of all ages that there's always hope no matter what you face. Dave performs at churches and all kinds of venues across the country, just trying to bring courage and hope to those affected by Tourette Syndrome. I love Dave's heart, I love his testimony and his great new record, and I think you're going to have a great time visiting with me today on the show with this crazy brave singer-songwriter, Dave Pittman.
A different kind of love. He spread his arms on the cross for the righteous and for the lost, for the least of these, so that all will see a different kind of love. It comes down like a waterfall, hits you like a cannonball, stops you in your tracks like a prodigal. God's love, it's a different kind of love. Crashing like a tidal wave, washing our fears away. There is nothing else strong enough to say. God's love, it's a different kind of love.
All right, Dave Pittman, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and all the way from Nashville.
From Nashville, right here. Yeah.
Well, I had you back home in Arkansas, didn't I? So,
That's right. Yeah.
so you're from Gassville, which is right near Mountain Home, Arkansas.
Yes.
Beautiful part of the country.
It's beautiful. Ozark Mountain Range, right at
Yeah.
the very end of that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, so where do you want to start? I mean, as I told you pre-show, man, this is just open game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we could start with my story in terms of Tourette's and like just growing up with that and how difficult that was for me. You know, I remember 7 years old is when they started. My family started noticing little twitches and little things I was doing with my body and little noises I would make, and I just. They didn't understand it. We couldn't understand what was going on, and trying to figure. They thought it was a habit initially, and they would try to get me to stop and encourage me, to stop, and even discipline me, and that's because they didn't know. They didn't know, right? And their ignorance, and so by the age of 9, I was diagnosed with Tourette's. We finally found some neurologist who would be able to give me the diagnosis, and. As for me, in the 4th grade, at 9 years old, that's when it was really tough for me because it made me a target for bullies.
Oh gosh.
And
Imagine.
it was just really, really tough trying to, tread through that and figure out, how I deal with this and how I manage it. And, not just the bullies, but just the disorder, in and of itself. And it was just really difficult. I had a lot of why me questions, like, God, why me? Why would you allow me to have this? Why not somebody else? And so, trying to figure out, why me? And so I just, and I was never really open to my parents of how it affected me in such a negative way back then, earlier on. And, I think after that year, that fourth grade year, I think there was two weeks left of that summer, and then I would go into the fifth grade. But my mom, my dad, my two other siblings were sitting at the breakfast table, and my mom asked us, "Hey, you us kids, are you guys ready to go back to school? It starts in 2 weeks." And she remembers the horror that came over my face, and I remember that's what the terror, of thinking, I can't. There's no way I could do that. I can't go to school. And I told her, I said, "Mom, I can't go to school." And she said, "Well, Dave, you have to. You can't just opt out." And so I remember feeling like and thinking I would rather, I live through another year that I would have rather died. And so I became suicidal in that moment. Wow. My mom and dad left later that afternoon to run an errand, and my siblings were at a different part of the house. I went back to my room and got a piece of notebook paper and a pencil, and I wrote, "Mom and Dad, I love you. I'm going to miss you." I had a frown face, tear rolling down. I drew a tear, and then I took it to my mom and dad's room, shut and locked the door, and got my dad's gun out, put the note face up. And I was literally about 2 seconds away from pulling the trigger, and heard the door of our front door of our home opened up, and I knew that Mom and Dad had come home earlier than expected. And so I was busy trying to get things back in order so that they didn't find out what was going on or what I was about to do. And so I turned the note face down, so they wouldn't see. Mom and Dad had already gotten down the hallway, knocked on the door, trying to figure, Dave, we were taught not to be in the house or in a room by yourself with the door locked, just for safety reasons, whatever. And so I knew better, but they were trying to figure out why I was doing it. And so finally, I got everything back in order, and I let them in. And they proceeded to ask me, "Dave, what were you doing in here?" And so Mom and Dad, I was silent. I wasn't about to tell them. So Mom and Dad were looking around. My mom sees this piece of paper on the floor. She turns it over, and to her horror, she sees what was written. And at that point, she just lost it, and I lost it as well. Just emotions from the year before, all that came up because the cat was out of the bag at that point, of how I was really dealing with it. And so, after that, I received some counseling to kind of help work through some of those emotions I was dealing with. My mom and dad decided to pull me out of public school and homeschool me that next year. Mainly my mom was the teacher, and she was teaching, and she'd never done that before, so that was really hard for her to go through. But that year, she just drilled in my head the importance of just, in my head and my heart, just the accepting yourself for who you are, and not for only who you are, but your identity in Christ, who you are in Christ, and just drove that home. And by the end of that, I remember her saying, Dave, we don't understand why God allowed you to have Tourette's, but you have a couple of options. You could be completely miserable, have no peace, no joy, no happiness, or you could accept it, and not only that, but embrace it, because there's a difference. Embrace whatever cup He's given you to drink, right? And just as He did in the garden right before He was crucified, He accepted the cup. He said, "Not my will, but yours be done."
Now you're preaching.
And so at that, and she used Paul's example when Paul talks about his thorn in his flesh, and how he asked God 3 times to take it away from him, and God's answer to him was, "My grace is sufficient enough for you." And so that stuck with me for whatever reason. And the way she explained it, I don't know, but it stuck with me, and my confidence level began to heighten, and I just, by the end of that year, they felt comfortable enough, and I felt comfortable enough to go back to public school, because that was a crazy year for my mom. She's like, "I don't want to do this anymore."
Yeah. And how old were you? You were 5th grade.
I was 5th grade, so I was 10 years old.
God, that's such a burden for a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
To not have a way to process that, and to get to that point of desperation.
At 10, when you're ready to end it all,
Wow. Gosh. Wow. That's amazing. I mean, that's such a moving story, and thank God, they came home early.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy how God works and he uses the pain and suffering in our lives to bring himself glory first, but also to use it for our good and to encourage other people. And for whatever reason, God's just used this part of my story, to help encourage others, and he just continues to do that. And it humbles me, because I'm like, God, I'm just thankful that, if one person's life can be encouraged from it or changed even, then it was worth every bit of pain I went through.
I know that you've had so many opportunities to sing and speak for youth, and there was one young boy that came up to you and was. Where did I read that?
I think there was. It was back in Arkansas when I did a school back there. A junior high boy had dyslexia.
That's right.
Yeah, that was one that kind of sick. I mean, there were several of those that came up to me, but he really stuck out to me just because he was in a lot of trouble with the law, even at junior high age, and just because his acting out, he would bully other students, and just his disrespect for authority and all of that. Come to find out, though, he had dyslexia, and which was kind of spawning on these different behavioral outbursts what he was having. And so he was suspended I think a few times from school, and just having a hard time socially. And when I told my story at the school, he came up to me and said, "Dave, 2 days before you came, I was gonna take my own life." Wow. And he said, my girlfriend encouraged me not to, said, "Just hold on." And and then 2 days later I come and I share my story, and he said, "Dave, I get it." He said, "I understand why I was doing what I was doing, and I didn't want to be open and honest with everyone about the fact that I have dyslexia." And it changed the course of where he was at. So
inside this prison, I fear your freedom. My heart is hidden by my best defense. Raise up my fortress, close every exit, fight to the death before I let you in. But your love collides and it breaks through the night, and it tears down the lies, and all my walls just fall to pieces. Fall to pieces. Fall to pieces. Out in the sunlight, sometimes I still hide. Pick up the stones and build my walls again. But your love pursues me, you'll never lose me. You won't give up until my heart gives in. 'Cause your love collides and it breaks through the night, and I give up the fight, and all my walls just fall to pieces. Fall to pieces. Fall to pieces. I cannot forge a chain that you cannot break. I cannot build a fortress you cannot take. I can't outlast, I can't outrun your grace.
singing start?
I was 6 years old when I was singing my very first solo in church. My dad was a music pastor at the church that I grew up in, and so we were involved with music. My mom played piano and kind of led the band. My dad's praise team and whatnot, and so we sang as a family. My early roots are in Southern gospel musically, and so we sang as a family. All five of us, I guess it was. My brother didn't like it. He wasn't really a singer, but he got up there and did because mom made him. So.
Too fun.
But it was a great, so that's early influences of Southern gospel, and so I started singing when I was 6, and really just any opportunity my dad had to put me up there, he would, and but I grew and developed a love for it. It wasn't just dad made me get up there, but it was and I think too with Tourette's, the fact that when I sing it kind of just disappears, goes away, and so that's kind of maybe a safe haven, for me, just using music as an outlet,
kind of a refuge from it. Now, do you notice yourself when you do the twitching and the stuff?
I do. I know I'm doing it, but it's it's involuntary. So the right diagnosis for Tourette's, the correct diagnosis is it's a neurological disorder characterized by one or more involuntary vocal and motor tics. Vocal being any type of like grunting, coughing, sounds that you make with your mouth, or motor tics would be like any movement. So shaking your head, twitching your eyes, blinking your eyes, twitching your nose, something like that. So it's crazy. It's so visual.
Yeah, but it never goes away. I mean,
it never goes away.
Well, I mean, like you're aware of it. Is what I meant.
Right.
The awareness never goes away.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm aware. Yeah, I'm aware that I do it. There are times when I'm kind of in the zone where I'm not paying attention. I think I notice it more when I'm in public, just to if I have time to explain to people what's going on,
right,
then I'll do that. If not, then I just I'm in my element, whatever. So
well, probably. I mean, I'm guessing here, but it might feel kind of like frustrating because you're out of control and you can't fix it. It's lifelong, right? I mean,
yeah, it can be frustrating. I think because I've lived with it so long, that so here's the thing. It's not frustrating that I have it. I wish it'd go away. It's more frustrating now just living from a day-to-day basis, having to go through, because it's actually draining, physically. Going through all these, it's like the best way to describe the impact it has physically. Like, you have whiplash in a car wreck or something. You have a whiplash with your neck, so you have an injury, and it never has time to heal. So a continual flip of your wrist, for example, you're continuing to do that. It could just. It catches up and it drains you, you're done. So
and so all the more that singing would be a refuge and the music would bring some sense of peace to your body.
Yeah, absolutely. When I get up and sing it, some people joked around and say, "Well, you should just sing 24/7," and I'm like, "Well, that'd be great." But
I'd rather have Jesus than silver or gold. I'd rather be His than have riches untold. I'd rather have Jesus than houses or lands. I'd rather be led by His nail-pierced hand than to be the king of a vast domain, or be held in sin's dread sway. I'd rather have Jesus than anything this world rather have Jesus than men's applause. I'd rather be faithful to his dear cause. I'd rather have Jesus than worldwide fame. I'd rather be true to his holy name than to be the king of a vast domain, or be held in sin's dread sway. I'd rather have Jesus than anything this world affords today. I'd rather have Jesus than anything this world affords today.
Hey, we're going to take just a quick break from the show so that we can let you in on some amazing things happening around here at Nashville Christian Songwriters.
Are you a Christian songwriter wishing you could be heard by the right people in Nashville? Yeah, we get it. You've been writing for years, but you have no idea how to be heard, how to get your songs out there, or how to connect your talent with opportunities. You feel stuck and wonder if you'll ever get a real break. NCS Bootcamp is your chance to be heard by taking your songwriting to a level you've only dreamed of. It gives you hands-on, personalized coaching and mentoring to help you think and write like a professional Christian songwriter determined to impact the world with your songs. If you're ready to empower your songwriting dreams, go to NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com/bootcamp to book your free songwriting breakthrough strategy call today. Become the songwriter you were born to be with NCS Bootcamp.
Well, I just hope that you'll take advantage of that and check it out. All right? We bring you good stuff here on the Song Revolution podcast. So back to our episode. So you decided to go on American Idol, and how was that process for you? I've watched your audition. It's really a precious moment, and with Randy and Neil Patrick Harris and Simon, and who was the girl? I've forgotten. Kara, that's right. Yeah. I wasn't as familiar with her.
DiGiorno? I can't remember her last. It's hard to pronounce.
You make pizzas? DiGiorno pizzas?
Yeah, DiGiorno,
yeah. So, but it was a great audition. And
thank you.
What was that like to stand in front of these, iconic people?
It was amazing. I mean, I just graduated from college at LU, Liberty University in Lynchburg, Virginia. And I knew I wanted to pursue the music career. And so I even auditioned for a few, temporarily moved back home to audition for a few Branson, Missouri shows, and just never really panned out. And my dad had asked me about the show, and if I'd thought about trying out. And so I was free to kind of go and do that. I drove 7.5 hours down to Dallas, Texas, the Cowboy Stadium down there, and out of 11,000 that was there, I was one of 24, I think, that made it through.
God, that's insane. And
it's just less than 1%. Right. The standing in line, the people I auditioned with were as good or better than I was. So God's favor is really the only thing I could think of. I mean, just his hand on me, and for whatever reason allowed me to go through. And just. Did
you have a layer before those judges that
put you
on through? Because I don't really know how it works.
What people saw, there were like 3 auditions before what actually aired, what people saw. So over a 3-month period, I was going back once a month for 3 months. June, July, and August.
So to make it through those 3 levels with 11,000 people to get, wow.
Well, so it was
that's
11,
astronomical.
So which is crazy. Actually, the way it worked out was there were 11,000 the very first time we went, right? And it was let's see, 11,000, and then I made it through the first round, and I think there was like 100 of us that made it through that first round. Over the 3-month period, when we found out that we were actually going to go to the ones that we found out we were going to go to Hollywood, after they had weeded out the other auditions, the other contestants, I was one of 24, and that's where the 24 number comes from. That actually made it to Hollywood. Out of all the cities, though, there were 180 of us. Out of all the cities altogether, there were 110,000 contestants who auditioned during the road auditions. Only 180 of us from all of the cities made it to Hollywood, and from there the top 70. But yeah, it was an experience, both rewarding and challenging. Rewarding in the fact that,
all that pressure of being in front of famous people like that, and the expectations on yourself must have been immense.
Yeah. But I mean, altogether, it was such a great. I had a great time.
And Neil Patrick Harris said, "This is crazy brave. You're crazy brave."
Yeah, he was a guest judge.
Phrase.
Yeah. The ultimate judge that came on was Ellen DeGeneres that season.
Oh, yeah.
But earlier on, they had guest judges coming in to kind of fill the role of I think Paula, who had left the show. So I think they're trying to replace her. But yeah, Neil Patrick Harris was one of the guest judges on the early auditions. And he made a comment. He said he thought I was crazy brave. And so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I wrote a song about it. Yeah.
Did being on the show change your audience any? Did it open up some possibilities for you that you didn't have before?
Definitely did that. Yeah, opened up. I had calls, because of the exposure, I had calls from across the country of different schools and organizations for me to come in and share my story and what I'd gone through with Tourette's, and even like, I got opportunities to sing the national anthem at Yankee Stadium, Disney. It was a crazy time, crazy opportunities God gave me. So
wow,
yeah.
That gave it to you for a reason.
Yeah,
and now your new project, Different Kind of Love, is kind of following on the heels of. Was it Crazy Brave? Was your first one?
Upon a bended knee, you found me holding on to hope. Chaos was all around, and I fell down beneath my heavy load. Oh, Jesus, are you listening? God, this isn't fair. I'm grasping at the empty air. So hold me through the hurting. Jesus, walk me through the fire. Savior, when everything is lost and broken, I'll be holding on to hope. Give me the air to breathe. Don't leave me. I don't know where I'd go. Lord, help my heart believe that you love me so much deeper than I know. Oh, 'cause everything you've promised, every word will stand when all around is sinking sand. So hold me through the hurting. Jesus, walk me through the fire. Savior, when everything is lost and broken, I'll be holding on. 'Cause our hope is secure. calls us to the light, oh, where one day every hope will be made sight. But for now we walk as strangers in the night. So hold me through the hurting, Jesus, walk me through the fire, Savior, when everything is lost and broken, I'll be holding on. I'm just holding on to hope.
These are awesome songs, and like I said, we've talked about "Fight to Win" and Hope's song, and you have a beautiful new rendition of "I'd Rather Have Jesus." So beautiful hymn and done so beautifully. And I can't, obviously, if we're going to get to share some of your songs, our listeners are experiencing the beauty and the power of your voice. It's just there's something that's so clear in it. You know, just I don't know, I use the A word sometimes, anointed. It is anointed. I mean, there's a certain,
Thank you.
Just a power, and the Spirit of the Lord is definitely, flowing through your voice. But I love what you did with that one. And let me just ask you a really random question. Mm-hmm. Okay. If you had to take one album to the moon, not yours, you only had one, what would it be?
One album to
the moon? One CD, one recording that's influenced you so much in your music.
Oh, okay.
Random. It's random.
But man, I'm trying to think. Man, there's so many great. Did you have just other artists and other albums?
Yeah, what? It's really a question about what's influenced you the most.
Yeah.
It's very specific. If you had to pick one.
Pick one, man.
Doesn't have to be Christian.
Yeah.
You'll be judged if it's not, but
yeah. How does one do this? Man, I'm really trying to think.
All right, I'll let you off the hook.
Yeah, let me off the hook on this one. This one caught me off guard.
You can phone it in.
I'll phone. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Phone a friend. Yeah, can I phone a friend? Can I do that? My wife, maybe. She probably knows.
Yeah, have her text me or something what that one is. But
yeah, that's a hard one. That's a really hard one to.
Well, who have your influences been then? If I would only limit you to one, let's go with three. Like musical. I mean, other than church music, or maybe that's it, and that's cool if it is.
Yeah. I'm an 80s baby. I was born early 80s. And so I grew up, listening to 80s music. I mean, the majority I remember is probably during the 90s, or like late 80s and early 90s. But I love, from a vocalist standpoint, it's weird because it's all female. But Celine Dion, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, like those just the powerhouse. I know it's crazy. I love what they did with their music, for music, and just the quality and control of their voices. When I would listen to the music, and I would always, or any music really, I would always try and do what the artist was doing. I feel like that's really kind of cultivated my vocal, to the point where like all the runs that they would do, just with their vocals, I would try and do that. I would drive my sister nuts. She's older than I was. And she had the car first, right? So she had her, and we're like 2.5 years apart, right? So she was 16, she had her vehicle, and we would ride in her car, and she would have this plan, and I would always do what what these vocalists would do, but it would be afterwards, right? So they would do this, yay, and then I'd do it right after so I could do it, and it would drive her nuts because it wasn't with the music. I was just trying to do, and I would do it, I'm a perfectionist, so I would do it until I had it. And so that's how I learned how to do some of these little vocal acrobatic type things, that I do with my vocal, but that just kind of helped shape that. But so that would say for, those females, but some of the I love blues. I appreciate all different types and genres of music. There's not really one I could say that I'm really enjoy more than the other. I mean, there's a few I don't like as much for sure, but I think for me it comes down to just the appreciation for different styles and stuff. More current, I would think, artists that kind of help shape this record, I guess, in terms of style, I think would probably be Jordan Felice, Danny Goki, which is another Idol, actually, American Idol. But yeah, just some of those kind of helped shape everything. But yeah,
very cool. Do you have any other than the Bible? You read the Word. You've been quoting it all day, preaching at me, so I know you know the Word. Do you have any authors that influence your thinking or your devotion or your writing?
Sure. Yeah, I would say John Piper, John MacArthur. Love those guys. Tim Keller. More in the from a theological standpoint, just those were great for me. I really enjoy reading. Appreciate the dedication to studying God's word that those men have, and because I'm not I'm not crazy study go in and do inductive type stuff. I mean, there are times in my life where I do that, but. So it's great to have those men to kind of refer, and I enjoy commentaries. I do, I love from as far as biblical studies, those are kind of my go-to guys. Jonathan Edwards.
Just for a little light reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And right, for a little light.
Before you pass out for the night.
Right.
Honey, would you hand me my Jonathan Edwards tomes, please?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's definitely deep thinkers, and more of, I trying to think of any more light readers that I generally would enjoy reading, but
that's all right. And I think that you can get a lot of insight about a person by the things they listen to and read. The wells they're drinking from, and as I encourage songwriters, I'm always encouraging them to just read broadly, think broadly, and to experience a lot of different kinds of music. And your new music, it's a little bit country, it's a little bit rock and roll, it's got some Southern blues rock in it, but I can definitely hear some of the influences that you're talking about. So you got this new album, you're putting together a tour, your team is growing, and we're going to be looking for some great things to come. Do you have a website? Do you have a place where people can kind of connect with Dave Pittman?
DavePittmanLive.com. So it's my name, 2 T's and Live, Dave Pittman Live. And from there, they can connect to my socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, whatever, and from the website, purposefully, we had the website set up to where that's the one-stop shop, but you can connect with me anywhere pretty much.
Right. So if you're interested in bookings, if you're interested in doing a school event, a church event, or maybe even some kind of corporate event, I can imagine that you'd be incredible in a corporate setting and be able to bring hope to a lot of people. Anywhere you go, you're going to do that because that's just you. So.
Well, that's the place. Yeah, my website would be the place to do that.
Awesome, buddy. Thanks so much for being with us today. It's been a pleasure. And like I've said 7 times, I'll make it 8. I love your record. I love your songs. I love your voice. But I love your spirit. I love your heart. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you as you're not just a survivor. You're someone who's thriving even in the midst of your disability. I mean, gosh, is there another word for that? It's more like the ability God's given you, because He's pouring through your life in so many ways that you're not even aware of. So bless you, buddy.
Thank you for that encouragement.
Yeah, thank you for who you are. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. I loved it.
It's kind and never anxious. It keeps its word even when it hurts. Have you heard? It comes down like a waterfall, hits you like a cannonball, stops you in your tracks like a prodigal. God's love, it's a different kind of love, and it's crashing like a tidal wave, washing all fears away. There is nothing else strong enough to save like God's love. It's a different kind of love. If you run, it'll let you go. You gotta know it's always close, like a hand on your shoulder when you're feeling low. Sometimes we all feel alone.
Hey, thanks for listening to the show today. I'm blown away with the encouragement and inspiration that every guest brings, and today was certainly no different. If you want even more encouragement and inspiration to take your songwriting to the next level, be sure to check out NCS membership over on our site at NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com. We're all about empowering you to become the best Christian songwriter that you can be, and NCS membership is simply the fastest and easiest way to get there. Become the songwriter that you were born to be by joining NCS membership today. I'll see you next time on the Song Revolution Podcast.